Let's learn how to work with Maya's scale constraint. With a scale constraint, we lock down an object's scale attributes to be controlled by another object's scale. It's really straightforward. Let's go ahead and learn how to use this constraint so that by the end of this lesson, we'll have our character, her size, determined by the size of our platform. So getting started, we'll grab our outliner just to make sure we're selecting the right objects. So here's our platform. This is going to be our target object, what we want to constrain to. And then our constrained object, what gets locked down, that's going to be CC global underneath our girl node. So this is our character's global control for globally transforming her. All right, so at this point, we want to grab things in the right order to make sure the scale node is added to the right object. So we'll first grab our platform, then we'll want to control-click CC Global. Another way, of course, is to show the control objects under Show. We'd want to turn on NURBS Curves. And here's the global control in the form of a triangle. This is what we'd want to select. So in the viewport, we'd want to shift select that object, but it might be difficult to select from the viewport simply because the global control is right on top of the platform. So it's a little bit easier from our outliner. So we can now go in and hide the curves if we'd like. But either way, once we've made sure we've selected these objects in the right order, it's just a matter of now heading over to our animation module underneath Constrain, which is a scale constraint, and just moving over to our options. Let's go ahead and reset things and choose Apply. I'll minimize the option box, and what you'll see is that now a scale constraint has been tied to our character. You can see it, her scale attributes have been connected, and if we were to scroll down, here's where we'll find our scale constraint node, where we can do things like offset and scale and X, Y, and Z. We could also turn off the constraint's weight from here by simply putting in a value of 0. No longer now does the scale constraint affect the constrained object. So we can go to our platform and we can go ahead and kind of scale that. Nothing will happen. Now if we were to increase the scale of the platform, move back over to our global control, and then turn back on our scale constraint's weight by putting in a value of 1 or 100%, notice how the character will shift in size based off of the change in scale of the target object. So again, we can go ahead and turn that weight on and off, and the great thing is we can animate that change. So that's really neat stuff. So let's take a look at a few other options before we finish this lesson. Notice we can tie the constraint to an animation layer. We have a tutorial in this course dedicated to animation layers and constraints if you're interested in learning more about this system. But we could also specify what axes we would like to lock down. So if we were to take a look at that, what I'll do is go ahead and remove the scale constraint. Just go ahead and grab CC Global, expand it, and delete the parent or the scale constraint from the scene. So let's say if we wanted to only lock down the x-axis and the z-axis, leaving y free. Well, now at this point again, we grab our platform, we can grab CC Global, making sure we grab the transform node, and now we can go ahead and choose Apply, and you'll see that only the x and z axes have been locked down. So this gives us a type of volume squash or stretch, minus the vertical squash and stretch we would need to make this more convincing, but it goes to show you how the option works. Also, keep in mind that when we scale constrain, we're matching the scale values of the target object and the constraint object. So if we were to again go in and delete the scale constraint, select our platform, and let's say set this to a value of 2, okay, take a look at this. Our character right now, grabbing the global control, is set to about 1.5. So watch what happens when we apply the default settings of the scale constraint. Again, grab the platform, control-click CC Global, choose Apply. You'll see that the character is going to match that size. However, we could always turn on Maintain Offset to prevent that from happening. So if we did want that offset in scale, we just turn on Maintain Offset. I'll also make sure all axes get constrained. Now we can go ahead and choose Add. Now you'll see that the character maintains her offset. So at this point, we can grab our platform. Notice as we rotate, nothing will happen. As we start to move this platform, nothing. However, we can go ahead and scale up our character now because of this scale constraint. And now as we hit play, you'll see that she's dancing, but to this different size, which is really neat. But again, that's a look at Maya's scale constraint. Again, we would use that to control an object's scale parameters by another object's scale.